Greetings, everybody. My name is Sebastian Fuentes. Welcome to the 16th edition of the Graduate Bulletin. I can't believe there has been 16 of them already. We're excited to have this time the amazing Democratic chair for the town of Exeter, Eleanor McDonough. Eleanor, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Sebastian. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. For those folks tuning in, Eleanor is the chair of the Exeter Committee, also the former deputy organizing director for the New Hampshire Democratic Party. Back in Florida, Eleanor was a former staffer for Representative Rita Harris. And Eleanor has been advocating for trans rights and queer visibility in politics, not just in New Hampshire, but all across the country. So we're glad to have you, Eleanor. Um, I have a rough idea, but Eleanor, tell us how you got involved in politics. What happened? Like, what ignited you to be like, oh, I gotta get involved. I gotta mobilize.
Sure, absolutely. So, first part of my career, I worked in tech, and it was really the 2016 election that pushed me into working in electoral politics. I was very dismayed by the outcome of the 2016 election. I think we all were very upset by it. And I was living in Florida at the time, and I was hoping for better. And unfortunately, we didn't see better. And after 2015, the LGBTQ community had, a huge win in the Supreme Court, legalizing marriage equality. And unfortunately, the right wing decided to take their aim away from that part of the community and on trans people. And I recognized very quickly that groups like the Heritage Foundation and other conservative groups, Alliance Defending Freedom, were partnering with the Republican Party to attack people like me and other members in my community. And I knew I just couldn't be silent anymore, and I wanted to do what I could to fight back. Always been a volunteer for the Democratic Party going back to 2000. It just wasn't enough, and I wanted to get my hands dirty and do more.
Awesome. That's so inspiring. Tell us, so as an organizer, what is the most effective strategy or tool that you implement in your daily organizing world?
I think you have to connect with volunteers where they're at. I think you need to share your own personal story about why you're involved, but also hear about why they're involved. And, organizing in Florida, organizing in New Hampshire, working with some people that are older that want to do this type of work because they want a better world for their grandchildren. They don't like the way things are headed. They know the planet is burning. Um, at the same time, focusing on supporting candidates that are going to fight for what is right, not for what's politically convenient. And I think that that's very important in this political state that we're in now, where there's just so much distrust of politicians because of what the Republican Party is doing. But making sure that you stay mission focused, that you have your goals, that you're fighting for the things that you believe in authentically, coming and knowing
Right.
what you want to say to people at the doors, what you want to say to people on the phones, how you want to communicate that message to other voters, to friends, and to neighbors. And having those conversations with some of those Republican friends or Republican family members is really important too, because we can't change hearts and minds unless we're willing to have those difficult conversations with those we love.
I'm one that thinks that changing minds happens at the dinner table, many times. So, Eleanor, tell me, so I'm an independent or I'm new to politics. How can I get, what would you say to that person that is really afraid of getting engaged in democratic politics or even with the Democratic Party? What would you say to them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you need to take a look at the record of the Republican Party and contrast it with that of Democrats. If you look at the Senate reconciliation bill that passed the other day, you even have some of the Republicans that voted in favor of it to advance it back to the House, saying to their House colleagues, "Don't vote for this." Senator Murkowski from Alaska comes to mind. You need to look at what your values are. And I think most people are going to see that they align much closer with the Democratic Party than they may think. And we've been fighting, a paid media and earned media battle now for a few decades where we're grossly outspent, and we have to try and counteract that message on the local level. We have to try and have conversations with people. And I also want to say that it can feel daunting, but just volunteering here and there for an hour or two can make a huge difference over the course of an election cycle. Just talking to a few voters here and there. We've had some real nail biter elections here in New Hampshire. We've had so many special elections in the House, just because those districts are so small. Even situations where races have ended up tied. We need to make sure that we are having conversations with people so they understand the impact of their vote. And we also have to make sure that the messaging is telling people, what the consequences are of voting and supporting Republican candidates over Democratic candidates. Everyone's going to see their property insurance skyrocket in the state over the next 2 years because of the funding cuts in
Right.
carryout budget. I also think that, some people wait for like the perfect candidate or the perfect time to get involved with organizing. Um, the best time to get involved with organizing was sometime in the past, but the second best time is right now. So it's really important to get your hands dirty to do the work.
Well, I love that you said that. I'm really passionate about if you want to help and contribute to the Democratic Committee. If you can put together a packet, if you can drive a canvasser to a location, if you can staple campaign literature, anything that you can do to help a candidate or your committee is going to be well received. So
Absolutely. We have jobs for everybody. We have
that
jobs
would
for anybody of any age, of any ability. We have work for you to do to help support the effort.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Eleanor, for being our 16th edition guest activist spotlight. We're happy to have you in Exeter. We see all the everything that you're achieving already, and we're looking forward to hopefully have a really successful election season done in the side of New Hampshire. So
Absolutely.
thank you for being here with us, and folks, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye bye.